Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Apex Systems ERP Essentials webinar series. Today's topic is optimizing match prepayments. I'm Lynette Thibault, one of the Apex practice managers, and our presenter today is Victoria Shorb, a solutions consultant here at Apex. As we move through the presentation, please feel free to ask questions in the chat or the Q&A function, and we'll try to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. We'll be covering a lot of ground, but we plan to have some time at the end to answer questions. Finally, we'll be recording this webinar for access after the presentation. But before I turn it over to Toria, let me get through a little housekeeping. Toria, I need control.
Oh, it says you're controlling. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Okay.
So just a little bit about Apex. We're a global technology services business offering highly scalable solutions for strategy, enablement, and innovation to drive results and value to our clients. Specifically, our Infor practice has experience in more than just healthcare, with dedicated teams to service many types of Infor clients, as well as those using Epic, Cerner, and Kronos. We also offer business assessment solutions to further optimize Infor organizations' use of the platform in the best ways possible for seamless integrations into your business processes. Apex has a global presence in over 70 locations across the US, Mexico, the UK, Europe, and India to accommodate most any need anywhere. Most of all, our Infor practice works with clients beyond the cloud, offering the right services at the right time. Before the project, our advisory services guide the client through the selection process and assess organizational readiness through BPA and process design. We offer total program governance and change management services to start clients off on the right foot for their implementation. During the project, we offer prescriptive guidance to reduce risk, duration, and cost. And after the project, managed services helps clients to sustain their investment through on-demand service, staff augmentation, and incident report to be your partner before, during, and after the project. So enough about what we do at Apex. Your presenter today is Victoria Shorb. So I'll turn it over to her to tell you a bit about herself and then more about match prepayments.
Hey everyone and welcome. My name is Victoria Shorb, but please call me Toria. I will be your solutions consultant for today's experience. And I've been with the team for 9 years in August, so been here a minute, and I am based out of Michigan. So let's get into the actual presentation. We have a relatively short agenda today. I do want to go through what the definition of a match prepayment is, what the difference between a prepay from invoice and an eligible for prepayment are. My favorite question is subject to tax. So it's a tricky one. You might not get it. Some life lessons you can learn along the way, and also some processing steps. So that's when we'll actually get into the application, because I am a visual learner. I'm assuming everybody else is a visual learner. So we're going to actually get into the application and walk through how the process works so you can see it end to end. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The definition, just so we're all on the same page, a match prepayment is exactly what it sounds like. It's a payment sent to the vendor, typically before the item is received in FSM. The biggest difference between a prepayment just within the payables application and a match prepayment is that the match prepayment does not create an offsetting credit memo. It's simply matched after, it can be matched after the payment has been made. Whereas the matching one, non-matching one, just a standard one, does create an offsetting credit memo. Biggest difference right there. All right. And then you'll see that I've got a screenshot on the screen. When you do the match payment method, you can either prepay from invoice or it's eligible for prepay. And really the biggest difference between those two is when the distributions appear on the actual invoice itself. So funnily enough, the one that I really like to do personally is going to be the eligible for prepay. So I like to see my distributions when I actually create my invoice. I just, I like to have it there in the first place. So, all right, close your eyes or don't. Is this subject to tax? Yes, prepayments can be subject to tax. We are not going to go through that today simply because there could be a couple different ways that your organization does taxes in the application. So yes, it can, but we're not going to go through that particular step today. Life lessons. Here's the things you really need to know. If you learn nothing else outside of today's session, these are the two things I would like you to know. Two of the three things I would like you to know. You cannot use a service purchase order. I tried and tried and tried and tried. I have to tell you, you can't do it. And the system will actually give you a cute little red error message that says cannot create match repayments for service purchase orders. So typically what I like to recommend is that we do them with specials when it comes from the purchase order side. And then the other thing I really want to mention is that prepaid and non-prepaid invoices cannot be matched on the same purchase order. So if you have if you have a purchase order, you're going to need to do the whole purchase order as a prepaid and not as a prepaid and standard three-way match. And then from here, let's get into the actual application because I do want to show you. So the purchase order, this is just a high-level overview of what the steps are. The purchase order gets created and released, standard processing over on the SCM side, the supply chain side. And then the prepayment invoice gets created. So you notice that the prepayment invoice gets created after the purchase order, not the receipt. And then the invoice can go through an approval process if needed, but then it's released and ready for payment. So we will go through those steps today. And then the item is received and the receipt. Oh, that's a tongue twister. Received and the receipt is released. Nailed it. So again, we'll go through that process. I do want to caveat this by saying I am not an SCM's consultant. So please do not take anything I do over on the SCM side for granted. You're going to want to talk to an expert like Lynette or any of our other wonderful SCM consultants. I am finance, so I try to stay out of their world because it's just much safer that way. So once that receipt is released, we are going to go ahead and do an invoice prepayment and receipt match in the match prepayment section. So you'll get to see all that in just a second. Typically, I would stop here for questions, but I think I'm just going to get into the application. So let's go look at the purchase order over in the system. Because that's just where we're going to start. So I am in the buyer role. I am in, and go over it in purchase orders. Go to released. And we're going to look for purchase order number 1194. Look at this one real quick, just so you can see what it is before we actually do the processing. So as you can see, I'm an expert namer. I have named this the prepayment item. That's item that is a special, like I just mentioned a second ago. And this, we're going to prepay for $300. And then on here, we do have the distribution. So this is where the distributions will come. Again, standard, just normal three-way matching with POs and invoices. The distribution comes over from the SCM side. So this is what this all looks like over here. Oops, wrong button. And then let's move into the match side of the world. So we are going to go ahead and create an invoice over in the match side. So now we've taken off our SCM hat and we put on our match specialist or matching hat. So I'm going to go ahead and create an invoice. And we are going to do a match invoice and a match prepayment. And again, this is where we saw that prepayment method on the slide presentation. So again, my favorite, because I have favorites everywhere, is eligible for prepay against purchase order number 1094. Okay, so company 100 and process level 100. Invoice number, again, expert name right here, 1094. It's going to be my invoice number. I'm just going to do today's date and today's due date for $300. So very, very simple, very basic. Not a whole lot of additional things. It's just really what match prepayment and the match prepayment method that you're doing. Otherwise, it's just standard standard invoice creation. So I'm gonna go ahead and save. And the thing I forgot to show you was that the receipt has not been matched. So if I come over here to, I'm gonna come back over as a buyer, come back here to receipts and released against purchase order 1094. You'll see that I do not have any released receipts in the system for the system to match against yet. So again, if you have any tax information or tax that needs to get created or entered, you would put that on here. And if you are doing any approval routing where this particular one needs to get routed for approvement, you can approvement. You can route it for approval. So I'm going to submit for approval. And this one, because of the way that our rules are set up, this one is just going to be auto approved just to make it a little bit easier for today's presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and submit. And I can see that my status on this invoice is a released status, which perfect, because guess what the next step is? You guessed run the payment cycle. You are correct. But I do want to show you what happens if I do try to match. Oh no, we got an error message. This is a prepaid invoice. You have to either use a rule group or use the reconciliation queue to match. So we're going to get into the reconciliation queue to match in just a second. Just so that you are aware that if you do try to match, it's going to give you an error message and you do have to use a smart recon side of the world. All right, but it is in a release status. So I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to pay this invoice. I'm going to perform cash requirements. I'm going to 1,000. All right, I'm going to pay through today for today. Again, please do not take any of this as what you should be doing. This is not the important part of the presentation. So we're just going to kind of cheat a little bit over here. All right, this is processing. It's my favorite part in the world. And for those of you that are watching, yes, I'm just clicking and clicking and clicking. I don't know how to not be patient. Or how to be patient. Perfect. All right, so now we have our vendor. This one I may have been doing some testing, so we do have a couple extra invoices out here. We do have invoice INV 10094 for $300. So I'm going to go ahead and complete payment cycle. Again, complete your payment cycle as your organization typically does. This is not anything that you need to be doing differently over here. But I'm just going to submit, and this will turn into historical. So now here's where the fun really starts. And if you think I'm being serious, we need to talk. But as far as this presentation goes, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to come into the reconciliation side of the world. I'm going to come down here to match prepayments because this is where my list of all of the matching occurs. So I'm going to go here and you can see that these are all of my invoices that are prepayments that need this line to be matched and worked. So I know that these have not been either received or the 3 matches not happened yet. So this is just kind of a nice list just so that it doesn't get lost in sauce. Is that how I say that? But we're going to come in here to 10094. I'm going to refresh my work files. Again, very standard, typically how I use Smart Recon. Nothing a whole lot different than what you would for just a normal Smart Reconciliation non-prepayment match. But you will see down here that I only have 1 invoice line and no receipt lines. So you know what, let's try to select all invoice lines and create a set. Oh, look, I have a set with a total match discrepancy and match. Oh no, I did not see this one coming. I'm kidding, I totally did. Select at least 1 match receipt line. So that is the error message that we are hoping for and getting, which means we need to undo this. So I do want you to see what the error messages are if things aren't fully completed in the background. So what this means though is that I do need to go back into the SCM side of the world, create that receipt, and then come back over here and refresh my Smart Recon work files. So that's what we're going to do. Go back over here to receipts. And for those of you in the SCM world, please close your eyes because I'm going to cheat a little bit. Again, not an SCM consultant. I am a finance consultant. So I'm going to go ahead and do 100 against PO 1094. And I'm going to submit. So I mean, there's one item on this. Okay, for those of you that are in SCM, you're welcome to reopen your eyes. I did just create the receipt over on the SCM side of the world. And I'm going to come back over here to my match. So let me go ahead and refresh the screen. And now I need to refresh my work files. So again, if I were to come all the way back out to the match role itself and not the match specialist role, I do have this match prepayments that I can get back into and come in this way as well, just so you can receive that. So Infor, refresh the work files, and you'll see that I have no lines and no receipts, and that it's matched up here. It did an auto match for me. However, I want you to see that. So we're going to undo that and then redo that ourselves. So I'm going to match my one prepayment with my one receipt line. And then I'm going to create a set. Oh, look how pretty that is. And I can undo that as many times as I want, but that really is the bulk of the processing. So now if I click on match, if you cross your fingers and we all breathe in and out together, let me click match. Look, match complete. I did not see that one coming. I'm kidding. I totally did. All right, so now I'm going to come back over to match prepayments, and it has now disappeared from this list because that 3-way match has now happened. So as far as the system is concerned, this one is complete. So we did the purchase order, and then we created the prepayment in the system. We paid it out of the application. We did the 3-way match. Then we came in here and we did the match prepayment. Was there anything else I wanted to show you? I think that was it. So with that, let me get back into the presentation and turn it back over to Lynette.